Well, good morning and welcome back to CityLine. With me, I have I could say master and commander, because Mr. Scott Thompson, you are the Public Information Officer for Sound Transit, and you also are in charge of the Sound Transit and Tacoma project update. So you really are a master and commander, and we are talking about in the green room. From home improvement to these big projects, there are just some things that are the same in both areas, whether you are repairing a sink or you're pulling up, 5 blocks of city.
Right.
There are just some basic tenets that you're going to run into. So you were here, I think, about 6 weeks ago, if not more. And I said, I need updates along the way. And you are a man of your word, and here you are. So before we start the updates on the Hilltop Link Extension, Tacoma Dome, and the South Sound, let's talk about some construction 101 here, because I said to you in the green room, I don't know if people really understand as they drive by these things, drive by or they drive around construction, what it takes in order to get these beautiful improvements done to our city, but also what happens in the life of a project that is going to be a constant, whether you're putting a screen door on your historic home or you are installing a train above the ground. There are some things we just know to be true. What are they, Scott?
Well, I think first off, the big thing for me, Amanda, is the level of collaboration it takes to pull a project like this together.
Yes.
And not only the construction side, but, for instance, the Hilltop Tacoma Link Extension that we're currently constructing, the planning for that started years ago. It's been a great collaborative effort and a partnership really with the city of Tacoma. There's funding on this project from the federal government, from the Federal Transit Administration. So there's grants and other things that we put together. We worked collaboratively with the city of Tacoma. There was a lot of outreach and planning. Where was the route going to go? Where did the public want it to go? There was years of putting that all together. Then you've got to start looking at designing. Once you have a route selected and station locations, that all took a lot of public input, a lot of collaboration to where's the best place to situate all that. So once you get all that, and then you design it and get a planner, and then you get a designer, now we're into the construction phase, and still the collaboration continues, because you have to, we're working closely with many departments within the city of Tacoma for traffic issues. We're working with utilities. We're working with permitting. You're also working with state agencies on various permitting, the Department of Ecology, other areas that you need to get permits and certifications for to actually do the work. And still we're collaborating with the community and the businesses as we move along as construction impacts these people.
Yes.
Reaching out to them, making sure they know what's coming, that we can deal with their issues if something comes up. And so I think the partnership and collaboration is a big aspect of any construction project. Secondly, for us, this is a unique project for us that we're actually building a rail line in the middle of city streets.
Yes.
So the impact is great. We did that with the Central Light Rail line going through the Rainier Valley. That impacts a lot of people. You're not only impacting those businesses and people who live in that area, but you're impacting everybody who travels through there every day. So we understand that. We also, when you're working on a project like this, I think people sometimes forget the vast infrastructure of a city that is underground.
Thank you. So it's what we don't see.
So what you don't ever see and what we all take for granted. Where your water comes from, where your electricity comes from, where where you get your internet. A lot of that is buried, most of that is buried underground. So, as part of this project, we're tearing up those roads, and we do a lot of work to understand what that infrastructure is, and we're replacing, as part of this project, a lot of water, a lot of sewer. We've worked with our utilities like Puget Sound Energy, Tacoma Power, CenturyLink to relocate those, because you don't necessarily want those under a railroad track. That's not the best place to put them. So we're relocating them, replacing them. We're doing, there's a lot of connections to various other entities within that whole
So there's things we don't see. So as you're driving by, what you see is not what you see.
Right. And as you get into those, sometimes not everything is as you think it is once you
right.
start digging a hole.
That's right.
So you have to work with those unexpected instances as well.
So when you have those unexpected instances, then it also leads to the third one, which is the community impact we talked about,
Right.
communications.
Right.
And like, for instance, we don't want to sidecar too much, but the Lincoln Business District is a stellar example of how the city just stood in there and really communicated
Right.
with how it affected everybody. And that's another piece of that, is that when you run into those, oh my goodness, what you don't see is what's happening right now. How do we communicate that?
Well, we have people we have a community outreach staff, and we have people on the ground integrated with every project that we're working on to work with those residents, work with those city officials, and work with those leaders on a day-to-day basis, that when issues arise, they have somebody they can contact. We try to be proactive and get out to them and let them know what the impacts are. But if you look at this corridor, I mean, we're coming Commerce Street, you've got the Stadium District, we're going right in front of Stadium High School.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're meeting with Stadium High School. We've got Stadium impacts.
So let's get on this. Let's talk about it.
So we're working on Stadium. We've got traffic detoured. One of the things that we're doing over the upcoming holiday break for the high school is we're going to get in there in front of the high school, and they've given us permission to do that, to get in there and replace the water lines in front of the high school, because that's a very high traffic area. And with the kids out of school, that's a prime time for us to get in there. So our crews are going to be working the day after Christmas on this project.
Wow.
So we don't get a whole lot of time. They don't get a whole lot of time to take off to meet our schedules. So then we're coming right in front of Marybridge Children's Hospital and Tacoma General. So we're meeting with staff at those hospitals and with Multicare to make sure that we're letting them know what the impacts are to the people. They have hundreds, thousands of people coming into their hospital on a daily basis.
Right.
We're coming down Martin Luther King Drive. We have a number of businesses, and we've got some traffic that we're working. We're moving around, trying to maintain two-lane traffic on Martin Luther King as we do our work to replace that infrastructure.
And that's such a tight squeeze, regardless of what's going on there.
Right.
And now we've got, even more of a tight squeeze as we work our way to the ultimate goal.
So, all those detours are in place. We're doing our best to make sure traffic keeps moving. It may be a little slower, maybe a little impacted. We've got some detours around people getting on 705 as well too. So, be patient with us. There's things we're putting in. We've got to put in new power lines, because this new line is going to run on overhead electrical lines. So we've got to put in that, and we've got to put in a lot of infrastructure for those rail lines. Even until there's a lot of work before we even start laying track in the road.
So I'm not going to hold you to this, but one of the things I said I would ask you would be on the Hilltop Link Extension. Are we still on track as of this moment?
Yeah, I think things are moving well. We're still looking to start service in 2022 is our goal.
Yep.
Long term, once we complete that, long term is to extend that line even further out to Tacoma Community College, and that's some years down the line, but that's in our plans as well. So everything's moving good.
Let's talk about that Dome Link Extension project. What's the update on that?
So I think the exciting thing for people in that, it's going to really happen probably this next spring. So we've gone through what we call a level 1 evaluation of a variety of station locations and route alignments from Federal Way down to the Tacoma Dome. We've looked at that. We've narrowed that list down significantly now. So we're really taking a hard look at those in each segment, those 3, 4, 5 routes, in those station locations. And again, a collaborative effort, working with the cities, working with our elected leadership throughout that corridor. We have an elected leadership group that meets, that evaluates, where those routes are going, what's going to best fit in with their city and their plans. And so we're looking at that. We're going to this March. I think in March we're going to come back with another round of public meetings.
Great.
To take a look at here's another round of routes and stations to evaluate. Here's where we're at. Here's some of the challenges with all of these. The other aspect of this that we're looking at now is we have to build an operations and maintenance facility for the South Corridor. Over the next 5 years, we're looking to add over 150 new light rail vehicles for all the expansions that we're doing. You have to have a place to maintain them.
Where do you put them? Yes.
Where do you put them? So part of what we're evaluating now is various sites for a large operation and maintenance facility in the South Corridor as well. So that's going to be part of this planning process as well. So we get some selections there, then we'll pick a preferred alternative and some other alternatives to look at through a formal environmental impact process.
Good.
The Sound Transit Board will make some recommendations of what they'd like to see, and then we'll move forward on that later into 2019.
Perfect. And then last but not least is the South Sounder expansion.
So I think this is really exciting. We're really in the early planning stages, but part of the Sound Transit 3 package was look to expand sounder service in the South Corridor. And there are a variety of aspects of that we're looking at. One of those would be to even expand service south of Lakewood as far down as DuPont.
Wow.
With a station at DuPont and in Tillicum. We have to look at that. We're looking at that. The other couple things we're looking at is one is, can we expand the number of cars on our trains? Currently now we run 7-car trains, but can we expand that to 10 cars?
And what would that mean?
It would mean we could accommodate 40% more people on the train. To do that, though, you have to have platforms that can accommodate all that. So we'd have to extend our platforms as well, too. The other thing I think we're looking at is, we hear feedback from a lot of folks of how can we expand the service? How can we add more service in the South Corridor? Right now we have, our peak services from about 5 a.m. till, about 8 o'clock. We have a late morning train that comes up, and then we have peak, coming back in the evenings. But there's some interest for people. How can we expand running trains at other points of the day or even on weekends? Because people don't necessarily all work in a typical 9 to 5 work schedule.
No, we're a 24-hour society now.
So how can we do that? And we have to evaluate that and work that out with all the freight traffic that's on there. BNSF owns a lot of the rails that we run on. You've got Amtrak who runs on there. So there's a lot of rail traffic, a lot of train traffic on those lines. And how do we work that and accommodate that? So we're going to do some extensive modeling to see what is feasible. And again, we're going to go out, we're going to talk with the cities, we're going to go out and talk with the public and stakeholders throughout the corridor to get some insight of what would they like to see, what could best meet the needs of the folks that use that line. The South Sounder line continues to grow. I ride it every day up to work.
Yes.
I see it all the time. We're continually seeing more and more passengers on that line. So we know the need is there, and we're going to figure out how best to accommodate that.
It's huge. I mean, when I sit and talk with my friends about their career opportunities and what they are looking at, one of the things that comes up when people are looking at making a change in their life for either housing or employment is, what is the public transportation like? I have a friend who loves that they get to sit on a train for an hour and commute because it's the only hour they get to themselves, and they don't want to give that up. Even to live here, even to work locally, they still want the hour commute into Seattle. So all of that is so important. So let's talk about, lastly here, is that there is a Sound Transit regional report coming to our homes in January.
Correct.
So what will that look like and what will it say?
So this is, and I haven't been with the agency very long, been there about a year, but I think this may be the first time we've kind of done this sort of report to the community. And what we're doing is we're looking at our various, what we call sub areas within our 3-county area. And so there will be a report specific for Pierce County that will come to Pierce County homeowners. Really just kind of taking a look at, what our services are today, where are we at, what are we have planned in the future, a little bit of our ridership, expectations, upcoming projects and where they're at in time. It will contain a large map of all our expansion projects throughout the corridor. Because, we're looking to add, once Sound Transit 3 is done, we'll have a 116-mile regional light rail system extending from Everett to Tacoma and from Redmond to, West Seattle.
Happy day. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. So, but we want to let people know what they're doing, and where their tax money is being spent,
right.
and what are we bringing to them.
I love
and
that.
We hear a lot. Everybody wants it sooner and faster, and things only are going to move so fast with these projects. But we want to just, I think, keep people informed and let them know what's coming. So those will, I've been told those will start getting out in the mail the week of January 7th.
All right, good. Well,
so see those after the first of the year.
I'm going to look for mine, so when we come back on the comfy couch together, I can hold mine up and say, here's mine. And whoever helped you with this, great job. Because as we talked about, it's all about what you don't see. It's about those collaborative partnerships. And it's also about communicating with the community and the impacts. And that report is the essence of that. So thank you so much. I love having you check in. I feel like we are doing our part to get the word out, to keep the excitement going, but also to really understand how hard this is. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and nothing is ever what it appears to be when you're doing a construction and a sound transit project of this magnitude, this many at the same time.
Right.
So thank you for being our go-to guy, that we get all our answers and all of our questions answered. And I'll have you back in here probably around February to chit-chat and to check in.
That would be great. We'd love to come back.
Absolutely. Have a happy holiday.
Yes, happy holidays to you as well. Thank you.
I will. Thank you so much. Speaking of holidays, when we come back, we will have Miss Mary. She is here from the Washington State Historical Society to talk about model trains. Parents, get your kids in the room because you don't want to miss this. We'll be right back.